Hey guys, it's Upa here. So today I wanted to go through the top 5 beginner mistakes that I see new players make. So let's get right into it. First of all, I've noticed that a lot of new players have been feeding epics at the beginner level. So for some reason, many new players seem to think that all legend heroes are always better than epic heroes, and this is just untrue. So there are many good epic heroes for the early game and even up to the middle game which can be used. So some of the notable ones include Wim, Liz, and Mackin. So these are like the 3 most popular epics that people always say to focus on when you want a complete campaign, and that still holds true. All those 3 characters are really good, but there also are other epics which are still very strong, so that would be things like Anton, Farnell, and so on. And it's so frustrating to see some new players accidentally feeding these epic heroes and using it to build legend heroes which aren't even good. So for example, the starter heroes Luz or Sana, I see some players feed their epics to these characters, and these legend characters are worse than the epic heroes I've just mentioned. So as a new player, I understand that it might be difficult to know which epic heroes are good and bad, and that is why we have the Infinite Magicraid Discord. And what you can see is that in the Infinite Magicraid Hero Bot channel, you can type food, and it will show you this image. And what this image does is it tells you all the epics which are useless. So any epics that you see here, you can use as food to level up your other heroes. But if they're not in this picture, you want to keep them for the future. Anyway, back to the game. The second point is the workshop. And another mistake that new players tend to make is using these ores to craft 4 to 5 star gears, as opposed to saving them for 5 to 6 star gears. So the reason why you want to focus on 5 to 6 star gears, particularly 6 star, is because 6 star gears have higher base stats compared to all other stars, regardless of rarity. So let's just look at a random gear we have. So for example, you can see that I have a level 16 5-star amulet, and at max level it does 18,000 health. And if you compare this to a 6-star amulet, the rarity doesn't matter. You can see that the health is much higher at 21,600. So this applies to every other gear piece. So let's look at boots perhaps, and you can see, oh well, this is mythic, so perhaps that may be misleading. Let's look at a legendary piece. So at 6 stars, max level, the boots are 216 speed, and if we look at the 5-star boots, which hopefully I can find, like this, you only get 180 speed. And not only does the main stat differ, but the substats on average are actually lower as well. So you will be losing a lot of stats by using 5-star gears. So I know that as a new player, it may be difficult to get these 6-star gears, but once you're past the very early stages of the game, getting 6-star gears is actually pretty easy. And in this game, where it's very important for you to maximize your resources, especially if you're a free-to-play player, you should always be looking towards the long term, and in that case, you should always be looking to craft 6-star gears. So what you should be doing with these ores is using this material crafting button to convert them into ingots, and they convert at a rate of 10 to 1. So as you can see here, I have 25 ores, and I can convert that to 2 ingots. So this may seem like it's not worth it because it's 10 to 1, but it is in the long run, so I highly recommend that you do that. So never craft 4 to 5-star gears. Now the third point I want to make is properly using your Guild Boss pips. So without the monthly card, you have 2 of these Guild Boss energy, and with you have 3, but whether you have 2 or 3, it doesn't matter for what I'm about to say. And it also doesn't matter what Guild Boss level you're able to do. But the main thing that you need to know is that you can use your stamina on different levels per day, and it allows you to get the rewards for the different levels every day. So if that's a bit confusing, you can see that right now I can do Guild Boss level 6 with 1 stamina and Guild Boss level 5 with 1 stamina. And so if you have 2 energy, then you should just use 1 energy on Guild Boss level 6 and 1 energy on Guild Boss level 5. And this will allow you to collect both rewards every day. The mistake that a lot of new players make is that they don't realize you can collect rewards for different levels. So even if you can clear, for example, Guild Boss level 5 using 1 stamina, they still use their second stamina on the boss, and it doesn't benefit you in any way. So obviously as a new player, it's unlikely that you will be able to beat Guild Boss level 6 or maybe even any of the earlier Guild Boss levels using just 1 stamina. And the main thing that you just need to consider is to make sure that you maximize the number of rewards you get, regardless of how much damage and what level you do. So if, for example, you can only do level 3 in 1 stamina, and you can do level 2 in 1 stamina, so that's one option, using 1 stamina on level 2 and 1 stamina on level 3. Or you can maybe use your 2 stamina to complete level 4 completely. In that case, you need to evaluate which is better. So if you were to use 2 stamina to complete level 4, you will get a total of 100 gems. And if you used it to complete level 3 and 2, you could get 60 gems plus 25 gems. So in this case, just doing level 4 would be better. But it depends on what level and how much damage you can do. So this is a case-by-case basis, and you should calculate yourself to decide what is the best option for you. And now next, and perhaps most importantly, is tier lists. So as a new player, it can be very difficult to understand which characters are good and which characters are bad, and that's completely understandable. But it's important for you to understand where to get your information from. So there's 3 areas I would like to cover. So the first would be searching up tier lists on Google. So as you can see, a new player would probably search something like this, IMR tier list, and you can see that there's a few pages which come up. So let's take a look at each of them. And these pages tend to be very misleading, so you can take a look at what it says. So in this case, it says updated with Kratos, and Kratos just came out like yesterday. So supposedly this is a really up-to-date tier list, and let's see how true it is. So in this one, they put pretty much every limited time hero in S+ tier, but you can see that some of it doesn't really make sense. Like characters like Nicholas and Lydia and Jack and Roll, even Sun Wukong, they're all good characters, very good, but they simply aren't as strong or in the same tier as characters like Urato, Giselle, Marie, which is spelled wrong, and Murong-Jake. So first of all, that's one thing you can immediately notice. And not just that, you can see characters like Little Jack, he doesn't even remotely come close to S+ tier, so this is just wrong. Nordak and Penny, both good characters, but not even close to S+ tier. Hengi, not even close to S+ tier. So you can see that it can be a bit difficult to see whether a tier list is good or not, especially from these websites, because some of the information looks reliable, but only more experienced players will realize that this doesn't make sense at all, and new players can very easily get misled by this information. So let's take a look at this next website. So this one seems to sort it by faction, and immediately you can see things like Brynhild is not S tier, Nicholas and Pauline, both good characters but not S tier for sure. Emilia, like, definitely not SS tier. Hazendra, definitely not S tier. And as you just keep going, you can see that some of it really doesn't make sense. Like Alahan is not even close to S tier. Lucifer, he's probably like B or C tier or something, or even worse. Lucifer's not good, and somehow he's SS tier here. Andres is definitely not SS tier. So this is just completely wrong. I have no idea how these random websites seem to create their tier list, but it's just so wrong and so misleading for new players. You can see it's supposedly updated 1 week ago, so I have no idea how they're getting this information. And we have one more website, let's just see. I mean, basically everything here is wrong. None of these are S plus tier. It does seem like this tier list is outdated, but at the same time it says 2025, so once again, super misleading for new players and horrible to refer to. So the next resource, and definitely much better, but still not perfect resource that people can use, once again, is the Infinite Magicraid Discord. And in this Discord, you can do two things. So the first is search heroes to see their rating. But once again, without knowing the full context and proper knowledge of the game, it can be very easy to be misled. So we discussed just now, Mackin is an epic who's really good for the early game, and you can see he's 1.67 out of 5. And the rating definitely is justified, I would say, because this is in comparison to all other characters, and also how the characters fare towards the late game when you have exclusive trees, echoes, and so on. So it's a fair rating, but a new player who only looks at the rating might be misled into thinking that Mackin is not good, when in reality he's really useful for the early game, and even slightly past that. And then in comparison, maybe we have characters like Beatrix perhaps. So Beatrix is a very strong character, but she does need exclusive tree to become very useful. So a new player may see 4.42 and think at exclusive 0 she's gonna be amazing, but that's also just not true. The 4.42 accounts for her being exclusive tree, and so new players also will know this. And in general, while this hero bot is pretty useful to have a rough gauge of which characters are good or not, there's a lot of nuances, and it's very easy to be misled as a new player. And there's also this tier list command, and the tier list, I've looked through it already, and I would say it's pretty decent, somewhat accurate, and generally okay, but once again, there's some caveats to it. So for example, we see Esther here at 17, and we see Santa here at 21. So the issue I have is that both Esther and Nicholas are offered in the Rainbow Diamond chest, which is obtainable pretty early into the game by free-to-play players, and newer players who look at this tier list will think that Esther at 17th is better than Santa at 21st and pick Esther instead of Santa. But if you ask any player in the game, they'll tell you should always pick Santa as your first limited time hero from the Rainbow Selection chest. And the reason why Esther is here is definitely for more late game content, and she also requires exclusive tree. So it's very easy to be misled as a newer player. So what's the solution if I'm here saying that all these tier lists and hero info can be very misleading? Well, the best option is always just to ask in the mentor chat and get a proper response from a human person, and see what they say and see what their advice is. So that's always the best option. And lastly, we will discuss summons. So at the early stages of the game, it's definitely fine for you to spend your summons because you need food to build your characters, and you also need a good foundation of legendary heroes to work with for all sorts of content. But once you reach a certain point, and it's hard to describe when this is, but once you have a decent foundation of characters and a solid team, you should start saving your wishes. And for excellent and supreme wishes, there's 3 main things you should be saving for. So this would be Gift of Heaven event, Double the Legend event, and limited time hero reruns. Beyond that, you should ideally be saving all your summons as much as possible. And more importantly, you should be saving your miracle runes and your gems as much as possible, and only be spending them on limited time hero releases. And some people don't save or don't save as much as they should, and because of that they start saying things like limited time heroes are extremely pay to win, or it's not attainable as a free-to-play player. And while it's true, obviously spending money will be an advantage, that does not mean that free-to-play players cannot get the new limited time heroes at high exclusives at all. And you just need to be very smart by saving your resources and your summons. So just to prove this, after Apsara release, which I believe was late January or early February, I started saving every single gem and every single miracle summon I had until Nicolith release. And when she did release, I had enough resources to get exclusive 3 Nicolith without having to spend any additional money, so purely by saving. And since I didn't spend any Echo summons as well, I managed to get her Echo at 5 stars. So of course, some luck is required, at least for the Echo. Although I did save enough miracle summons to guarantee exclusive 3 even in the worst possible scenario. But what I'm just trying to say is that saving for these limited time heroes is possible if you play the game smart and save your resources wisely. So that's all I have for today, and if this was useful, I do have a more comprehensive guide on how to efficiently spend the resources in game, and that covers stamina, your gold, gems, even things like your arena tokens, faction abyss, and so on. So a very comprehensive guide for spending your resources in game, and that's something you can check out, which I'll put in the description if you are interested to see that. But otherwise, I hope this video was useful. Please leave a like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time.